How entropy changes in a system, that is the point of discussion of. Entropy change takes place in a reversible as well as in irreversible system also. In your syllabus, it is second law of thermodynamics, it is Carnot cycle, as well as he is writing about the criteria of spontaneity of the process. That can be discussed only when we are having the knowledge of entropy change in the reversible and the irreversible system. Here the slide, it is showing to you that some type of heat exchange takes place between the system and the surrounding. Whatever the heat change takes place from one side to the another side, they are equal in proportion as well as they are opposite to each other. Since heat is being transferred from the, or it is being subtracted from the system, added to the surrounding. So one side it will be negative, another side it will be positive, but their amounts will be equal. Since both are exchanged reversibly, so their amount Q reversible upon T, it will be equal. Hence when we add them, then delta S total, it is delta S system plus surrounding that contributes total equal to the 0. Reason being, how much entropy change takes place in one side, same entropy change with the opposite sign takes place in the another part. That is why total added sum that is equal to the 0. So in a reversible system, entropy change is, total entropy change is equal to 0. How it is being changing in a irreversible manner? Here I have shown the diagram, one side system, another side surroundings. So two processes, one side it is being withdrawn, another side it is being taken. So I take one of the part as the reversible part, another part as the irreversible part. Because if I take it from the system to the surroundings in an irreversible manner, then that cannot be exchanged back. So it is being transferred to the surrounding, but it is being taken up by the surrounding irreversibly. So now delta S total, it will be equal to delta S system plus delta S surroundings. If you substitute the values here, then Q reversible upon T, that is for the system, it is minus Q irreversible upon T, that is for the surroundings. Since two heats, they are not equal, that is why delta S total, it will not be equal to now 0, because in a reversible and irreversible manner, heat exchange that differs. Here Q reversible, I will write it as by the first law, change in internal energy plus work reversible, and Q irreversible is equal to change in internal energy plus work irreversible. Substituting these values, DE cancel out, because DE, change in internal energy, it is independent of the reversibility and irreversibility, whether the process is reversible or irreversible. Change in internal energy doesn't change. What work reversible, irreversible, they vary. Heat reversible and irreversible manner exchange, that again vary. Now from here I will get delta S total, that is work reversible upon T minus work irreversible upon T. Since in a reversible work done is the maximum work, so this means first term is the maximum. In a irreversible work, it is less or it is nearly equal to 0. So it means the difference between these two, it will be greater than 0. So delta S total, it will be greater than 0. So in a irreversible process, total entropy of the system that increases. It forms a statement of the second law of thermodynamics, one of the statement, that all the irreversible processes are accompanied by the increase in entropy. Whenever it is reversible, entropy changes 0. But as already said, that reversible thermodynamics, it is the ideal case of the natural processes. We can't say that all the processes in the nature, they are the reversible in nature. They are irreversible in nature. So that is the idealistic behavior. But in nature, If we consider the change, then all changes they are accompanied by the increase in the entropy, or any self-occurring process is there, then that is accompanied by increase in the entropy. So that is the one of the statement of the second law of the thermodynamics. There are another definitions also. For example, we have discussed earlier the efficiency of the heat engine. So there is always gain of heat, then loss of heat to the surroundings or sink. So there is no machine formed in the world which merely works by gain of the you can say heat and producing the work, until unless it is transferring some of its you can say heat energy to the surroundings or to the another part of the system. तो ऐसा जो वो पॉसिबल नहीं है नेचर में कि बिना एक ही सोर्स से हीट गेन करते जाएं और उसको जो वो प्रोडक्ट में या उसको वर्क में जो वो कन्वर्ट करते जाएं. कुछ ना कुछ हीट लॉस जो है वो सराउंडिंग्स को होगा ही होगा. सो देर इज नो मशीन फॉर्म्ड इन द वर्ल्ड विच वर्क्स इन सच ए मैनर बाय merely gaining the heat from the source and changing it into the work. Say there are some another definitions. You have to go by all those definitions, read them, because indirectly way there is nothing written that is what are the different statements of the second law. What you must have the knowledge of those statements. Now let us move further. It's a Gibbs free energy. Very important part this one. But merely it will be asked in the examination, very simple questions. So in thermodynamics, whenever you are defining a particular function, it is already defined by the mathematical statement, not by the words. So G, that is equal to H minus Ts. For example, in question comes in the examination, what is Gibbs free energy? You are not going to put the definition. You simply say Gibbs free energy is defined as G equal to H minus Ts. And what is delta G? Delta G equal to delta H minus T delta S. That is the delta Z, change in the free energy. What is the value of delta H? The value of delta H is equal to delta E plus P delta V. Also from the second law of thermodynamics, we are having delta S is equal to Q reversible upon T, and from here TdS, it moves to that side, it is equal to Q reversible. Substitute all these values. Delta G is equal to delta E plus P delta V and minus Q reversible, that is from the second law. From here it is from the first law again, it is Q reversible, that is equal to delta E plus work reversible. When you will substitute this value here, then delta Z, it will be equal to delta E plus P delta V minus delta E. Delta E goes with the delta E, we are left with P delta V minus work reversible. If I take negative sign out, then minus delta G is equal to work reversible minus P delta V. So it means decrease in the free energy, it is accompanied by production of some type of work. Which type of work? It is reversible work minus P delta V, means total work is the reversible work, that is the maximum work. From this, if we minus or if we subtract the pressure volume work, then whatever is the work left, that is termed as the non-expansional work. And generally this non-expansional work, it is termed as the electrical work. So in examination you can face simple 2 marks question, that so that decrease in the Gibbs free energy is accompanied by production of non-expansional work, production of electrical work, or production of work other than the reverse pressure volume work. As Gibbs free energy is defined, in a similar way Helmholtz free energy is defined. वो G से है, ये A से है. Helmholtz free energy, it is with the A. A is equal to E minus Ts. So just like G equal to H minus Ts, that is based upon enthalpy, this is based upon the internal energy. Remaining portions, they are similar. Here it is only H and E that change, here G and A. Similar way, change in the work function, it is equal to delta E minus T delta S. Now substituting for the T delta S, it is Q reversible from the second law. So delta E minus Q reversible. then substitute the value of Q reversible from the first law of thermodynamics. Q reversible, that is delta E plus work reversible. So delta A, it will be equal to delta E minus work reversible. So delta E goes with the delta E. We are left with minus work reversible. Minus sign taken to that side. It is minus delta A is equal to work reversible. It means that decrease in the work function is accompanied by production of the maximum work obtainable from the system, because reversible work is the maximum work. Reversible work is the maximum work. Then Gibbs-Helmholtz equation. This is also very much important. 2 or 3 marks question maybe in an examination. As we know, G is equal to H minus Ts, that is the Gibbs free energy is defined. Substitute for the H here, it is E plus PV. So internal energy plus pressure volume product minus Ts. Then take a complete differential of it. So dZ is equal to dE plus PdV plus BDP. First function as it is, differentiation of second function as it is, differentiation of first, in the same manner minus TdS minus SdT. Now dE plus PdV, that is the first law of thermodynamics. So we can substitute here Q reversible. Minus TdS or minus T delta S, that is the second law of thermodynamics. So we can substitute the Q reversible here. So when you substitute these values here, dZ is left with the VdP minus SdT. VdP minus SdT. Now if I take the pressure value constant, that is the dP value, and take it as a constant, then dP will be equal to 0. So then dZ will be left equal to minus SdT. dt को परली साइड ले आइए, curly Z upon curly T at constant pressure, it becomes equal to S. Now why it is curly? Instead here above it was differential. When the particular quantity is depending upon the single factor, it is simple differential. When it is depending upon the multiple functions, then we take the partial differentiation. So यहाँ पर P कांस्टेंट किया है, मतलब ये P के ऊपर भी डिपेंड कर रही है, लेकिन P को कांस्टेंट किया इसलिए इसको D को करली में चेंज कर दिया. Now for state 1 and state 2, I can write curly Z1 upon curly T minus S1. For state 2, we can write here curly Z2 upon curly T, that is equal to minus S2. Take the difference of these two, you will get curly upon curly T G2 minus G1. जब इस तरह के दो डिफरेंशियल हों तो डिफरेंशियल जो ऑपरेटर की तरह होता है तो इसको बाहर लिखा जा सकता है. इनसाइड वी आर लेफ्ट विद G2 minus G1 and that is equal to minus delta S. So curly delta Z upon curly T, that is equal to minus delta S. G2 minus G1, that is delta Z. Now we are simple relation, we are having delta Z equal to delta H minus T delta S. तो यहाँ पर डेल्टा एस की वैल्यू सब्स्टिट्यूट कर दो. डेल्टा जी इज इक्वल टू डेल्टा एच प्लस टी करली डेल्टा जी अपॉन करली टी. सो दैट फॉर्म्स द गिब्स-हेल्महोल्ट्ज इक्वेशन. Here delta A equal to delta E plus T, it is curly delta E upon curly T. It is the similar relation as the relation of G, but it is in terms of the work function. तो वो भी गिब्स-हेल्महोल्ट्ज इक्वेशन है, ये भी गिब्स-हेल्महोल्ट्ज इक्वेशन है. लेकिन जब भी गिब्स की बात आती है, एग्जाम में आएगी, तो आप डेल्टा जी गिब्स फ्री एनर्जी वाले रिलेशन को मोस्टली ड्राइव करोगे. नीचे वाला रिलेशन जो है वो लेस फेमिलियर है, इसको लेस ड्राइव किया जाता है. नाउ व्हाट इज द यूज एंड व्हाट इज द फिजिकल सिग्निफिकेंस रिगार्डिंग द यू कैन से डेरिवेशन ऑफ दिस गिब्स-हेल्महोल्ट्ज इक्वेशन. इसको थोड़ा वापस ले जा रहा हूं मैं पीछे. यहां पर जब मैंने ये, या इसको आगे डिस्कस कर लो, ये एक रिलेशन लिखा है डेल्टा जी इक्वल टू डेल्टा एच माइनस टी डेल्टा एस. ये गिब्स फ्री एनर्जी है, ये एंथैल्पी है, ये टेम्परेचर है, ये एंट्रोपी है. एंट्रोपी ने सेकंड लॉ का बेस बनाया हुआ है. एंट्रोपी जो किसके साथ रिलेटेड है? सेकंड लॉ के ऊपर. लेकिन अगर सही मायने में देखा जाए तो कोई ऐसा तरीका नहीं है जिससे किसको निकाला जा सके, एंट्रोपी की वैल्यू निकाली जा सके। कहां से? जो पोर्शन अभी तक हमने पढ़ा। कौन सा पोर्शन? इट इज द फर्स्ट लॉ, इट इज द सेकंड लॉ। देयर आर थ्योरीज, देयर आर लॉज, और उन्हीं थ्योरीज और लॉ के बेस पर जो है वो कुछ ना कुछ रिलेशन होते हैं, और रिलेशन से हम जो वो वैल्यू निकाल सकते हैं। यहाँ डेल्टा एस के ऊपर या चेंज इन एंट्रोपी के ऊपर सेकंड लॉ बेस्ड है, लेकिन सेकंड लॉ की फॉर्मुलेशन तक कोई ऐसा तरीका नहीं था जिस तरीके से जो है वो डेल्टा एस की वैल्यू निकाली जा सके। गिब्स हेल्महोल्ट्ज ने जी को डिफाइन करके उसी टर्म को इरेडिकेट कर दिया वहां से। सो यू सी हियर, ये जो आपके पास रिलेशन आ रहा है दैट इज नॉट हैविंग एनी डेल्टा एस वैल्यू, इसमें कोई भी डेल्टा एस की वैल्यू नहीं है। तो उसी टर्म को उसने क्या कर दिया है? इरेडिकेट कर दिया है। और एक यही रिलेशन है, इसको इरेडिकेट करने के बाद थर्ड लॉ जो है वो यहां से जनरेट होता है, और उसी थर्ड लॉ के बेस पर हम जो है वो डेल्टा एस की वैल्यू जो है या एस की वैल्यू, एंट्रोपी की वैल्यू जो है वो निकाल सकते हैं। Prior moving to the third law, let us discuss some another feature here. Partial molal quantities. What are these? So mathematically, we can define any function or any thermodynamic property as a function of the pressure, temperature, as well as the number of moles. So here, X is the particular thermodynamic property that is defined as a function of pressure, temperature, and number of moles. If suppose number of moles are not n, if they are defined as the particular for one component, n1 for second component, n2 for third component, n3 and so on, then thermodynamic property will be a function of pressure as well as temperature as well as number of moles of first component, number of moles of second component, number of moles of third component, number of moles of fourth component and so on. Now if a complete differential of x, thermodynamic property x that is being written, that can be shown as dx is equal to, it is partial differentiation with respect to the variable, which one? Pressure or temperature. So it is with the curly t multiplied by dt, provided all another functions they are being kept constant or variables they are kept constant. So pressure, n1, n2, these are kept constant. Then differential of again thermodynamic property with the another variable, it is pressure, multiplied by dp, and all another components they are kept constant. In the same manner, differential of that thermodynamic property with the number of moles of first component, provided all another variables they are kept constant, multiplied by dn1. So all these differentials they are with respect to the temperature, with respect to the pressure, with respect to the number of moles of the particular component. Here, if P and T they are kept constant, अगर P और T को कांस्टेंट करते हो तो dt की वैल्यू 0 हो जाएगी, dp की वैल्यू 0 हो जाएगी. नो चेंज इन प्रेशर, नो चेंज इन टेम्परेचर. B will be left with the only what? Thermodynamic property and its differential with the number of moles. So see here, we are left with dx, p and t they are kept constant. It is curly x upon curly n1. So differential of thermodynamic property with the number of moles of first component multiplied by dn1. In the same manner, differential of the second component multiplied by dn2 and so on. So this dx differential or change in the thermodynamic property at constant temperature and pressure, provided number of moles of component they vary, can be written as x1 var, इसके ऊपर var, यहाँ पर सॉरी प्लस का साइन होना चाहिए था, प्लस x2 var into dn2 and so on. So that is termed as the x1 var. That quantity is termed as the partial molar quantity. क्या बोलते हैं इसको? Partial molar quantity. It is x1 and raised to, it is x1 and var here. Bar means इसके ऊपर लाइन लगी हुई है, यहाँ पर कंप्लीट तो नहीं शो हो रही है, but it is the change in that thermodynamic property with the number of moles of particular component, first component and first component, provided all another components they are being kept constant. Now how we are going to define the partial molar quantities? So from here, what is this? Partial molar quantity is nothing, what it is change in that quantity. It is x1 change in that quantity, it how the x changes, how the thermodynamic property changes, and it is change in the number of moles of first component. पहला कंपोनेंट है उसमें कुछ मोल्स जो उसके चेंज हो रहे हैं. सो व्हाट इज द पार्शियल मोलर क्वांटिटी? इट इज द चेंज इन द थर्मोडायनेमिक प्रॉपर्टी व्हेन सम नंबर ऑफ मोल्स ऑफ पर्टिकुलर कंपोनेंट दे चेंज इन द सिस्टम. लेकिन सिस्टम इतना बड़ा होना चाहिए कि उसमें कोई भी खास चेंज जो वो ना आए. तो कैसे डिफाइन कर सकते हैं? Partial molar quantity is defined as the change in that thermodynamic property with respect to the number of moles of particular component, or when some number of moles of component being added or subtracted from the system, such a large system that there is no appreciable change in the system. सिस्टम इतना बड़ा है कि उसमें से एक या दो मोल आपने एक्सचेंज भी कर दिए तो सिस्टम में कोई चेंज नहीं आ रही है. तो उतना एक्सचेंज करने पे उस थर्मोडायनेमिक प्रॉपर्टी में कितनी वेरिएशन आती है, दैट इज बीइंग टर्म्ड एज द पार्शियल मोलर क्वांटिटीज. इट इज ऑफ स्पेशल इंटरेस्ट इफ इट इज रिटन फॉर द जी. सो सिमिलर रिलेशंस आर हियर. इट इज डीजी करली जी अपॉन करली टी dt करली जी अपॉन करली पी dp नंबर ऑफ मोल्स ऑफ वन कंपोनेंट, नंबर ऑफ मोल्स ऑफ अनदर कंपोनेंट. इसी तरह से रिलेशन जो वो लिखते जाओगे. Then change in the dg, it is curly g upon curly n1 tp dn1. Curly g, here it should be curly n2 instead of the curly t. कितना होना चाहिए यहाँ पर? curly n2 multiplied by dn2. तो इस तरह का रिलेशन जो वो लिखा जा सकता है. So dg is equal to mu1 dn1 mu2 dn2 and so on mu I ni. What is mu this one? It is G1 bar. G1 bar means partial molar free energy. That is equal to chemical potential of first component. Mu1 is equal to curly Z upon curly N1. Change in free energy with respect to change in number of moles of particular component. So G के केस में partial molar free energy कम बोलते हैं इसको बोला जाता है chemical potential. क्या बोलते हैं इसको? Chemical potential. So chemical potential of the ith component is equal to curly z upon curly ni, where all another component they are being kept constant. So what is the chemical potential? Chemical potential is defined as the change in free energy of the system when one mole of a component, which component? Ith component for the mu I. Chemical potential of the ith component. When one mole of particular component it is being added or subtracted from the such a large system that there is no appreciable change in the system, then that is termed as the chemical potential. क्या बोलते हैं उसको? Chemical potential. Remaining we will discuss next time.